Welcome to episode 273. It's been a long time of Friars on the Farm. I'm Donovan, and with me is Roy.
Oh man, it sure has been a long time. We've watched the Padres weather a storm with some injuries, and we've seen some debuts that we're going to talk about. We've got some exciting stuff happening on the minor league side. We got a lot to catch up on.
We do have a lot to catch up on, and it seemed like we'd been so long, this new format with every 2 weeks kind of turned into 3 weeks. And it's just now getting off the ground. But during that time, we've already had call-ups and send-downs and then call-back-ups and then movement. So there is a lot to cover. But first thing real quick, our new music, dude, 12 Gauge Trixie. I freaking dig these guys. Last night they dropped their new single, Creature, with the B-sider down at the bottom. Dude, this band is awesome. You guys check them out on Spotify. Check them out on Apple. I love this rock and roll, punk rock / heavy metal band. They're just fucking great. Pardon my language. But yeah.
Hey, speaking of which, I did something I've never done before last weekend. I got up on stage with a live band, and it happened to be punk rock.
And what did you play? What did you sing?
It was punk rock karaoke, which I had heard of it, but I never really looked into it. It's four guys from like legit long-term punk rock. It's Greg from Bad Religion and Circle Jerks. I mean, he's been doing this since 1980.
Okay.
And the drummer was from Goldfinger, and the bass player was from Pennywise, and the other guitar player was from the Dickies. Anyway, I went up there and I sang Offspring, Bad Habit, and I was nervous and I messed up a little bit, but I screamed it all out and I acted like it was fine and it was fun and everybody was cheering and it was a good time.
Dude, and that's the thing about punk rock is like you can screw up and it doesn't matter.
That's right.
I've always wanted to do that, and unfortunately for me and my customers and my staff, is I do most of my karaoke singing at my restaurant, and
Well, they're going to be back at the holding company in like early June, so if you want to go live out that dream, go for it.
Oh,
All I have to do is sign your little name on the sheet, and they'll call you up. It's a lot of fun.
Right. Oh man. Okay, so let's get on with it real quick. You guys, we are selling the shirts through the El Paso Chihuahuas. Here's that bad boy right there for you guys on the YouTube. We'll have the link in the show notes, but we're doing it for the El Paso Child Crisis Center, and it's an emergency shelter for kids that rely solely on generosity of the community. Their shelter serves as a secure sanctuary where children can regain their sense of normalcy, free from concerns of harm, hunger, homelessness, and isolation. And we're going to go real quick and do a small little interview that we did with the director of the Child Crisis Center, Andrew Castaneda, right here. And then we'll come back and we'll get the show going. Well, hey, we're joined here with Andrew Castaneda from the El Paso Child Crisis Center. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us here. How are you?
Doing great. And thank you so much for having me. Really excited to be here.
Well, we're excited, and as you guys can see here, for those of you on the YouTube, the shirts are in. They look sick. This is an extra large, and it fits really good. I was telling Andrew before, sometimes this is Texas extra large. If this is a California extra large, it's going to be a little tight. The shirts look absolutely fantastic. We're so excited to partner with the Chihuahuas and be able to raise some funds for the El Paso Child Crisis Center. So tell us a little bit of your background and how you got involved with the Child Crisis Center.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Well, before I do, I just want to take a moment to thank you guys so much for all the kind words and attention you've been giving over the last few weeks, last month, really. I know that this has been an ongoing project, and I know it's been a labor of love. So thank you for all the time you've put towards it. I know that this will truly end up benefiting the center, and it's going to be a really great thing. But just a little bit about me. So I serve as the Director of Operations for the Child Crisis Center of El Paso. I've been in that capacity now for going on 2 years. Previous to that, I served as a shelter supervisor and been with the organization for about 6-7 years. And so really special place. The Child Crisis Center of El Paso serves as an emergency shelter for children in our community. And so this year we're celebrating 45 years of providing free services, 100% free to any member of the community. It's really like you described, it's a safe haven. It's a place where children could be brought when there's no other place to go. And most importantly, it's a space where we make sure to keep them safe and allow them to continue on the path of just being normal kids. That's our goal.
Now, what kind of facility is it that you guys operate? Can you describe what the building is and what kind of accommodations you guys have?
Of course, Mr. Roy. So the center itself is, I like to describe it like a big home, right? We're licensed through the state of Texas. It's a residential facility. And so, we have standards that we have to abide by. And, but really at the end of the day, it's a giant home. We have space for 39 children. We provide services for children between the ages of 0 to 13. So newborns all the way up to 13. And that really is specialized care. And I have to take a moment to give all the credit to the team, the staff
Mm.
who provide the direct care services and really help to give the love and attention to the children who come into our care. Our staff, I like to say, we call them specialists. They're child care specialists because they don't know if they're going to be taking care of a 3-month-old, a 3-year-old, a 13-year-old. And so they're really amazing people and they get all the credit.
Do after, are they there for a while? Do they find are they put in the foster? Like, what is the end result of when they stay there?
Sure, that's a great question. So the kiddos come into our care kind of through different avenues, right? And they kind of exit through different avenues. So they each have their unique story, but our slogan is protecting our children, preserving our future. And so no matter how it is that a child comes into our care, we're really working with families to improve the quality of life. The center was founded on the idea of protecting children from child abuse and neglect. But over the years, over the 45 years, it's expanded to much more, right? There's a lot of families in our community that are living with the threat of homelessness. Drug abuse is a major factor for a lot of the families, which we spoke a little bit about before. And then I think one of the biggest areas that we're seeing families really needing help in is just families dealing with mental health crisis, whether it be for themselves or their children. Our families have gone through a lot over these last few years, and it's really affecting the quality of life for these families. And so we kind of see children come into our care through different, for different reasons. But at the end of the day, our focus is really just putting back the pieces to a normal childhood and most importantly, allowing them to have fun while they're with us.
So is the care catered toward the child specifically, or are there also services for the families around them?
That's a really great question, Mr. Roy. Both. So, we like to say what separates us, and I think what makes our shelter unique, is that we only accept children. There's a lot of wonderful organizations in our community and other cities that provide services for families, right? But we take in only children. And although our clients are the children, we're really working with the families. We get to know the families, see what sort of help they're needing, whether it may be, maybe finding, getting assistance with finding a home, maybe it's assistance with getting a job. But either way, we work with the families to help them to be in the best position possible. We do that through family support is what we call it. We also do advocacy and education. For a lot of our parents, they're not bad parents. They just haven't made the best choices. So we help them to make better choices and educate them so that they can be better role models and ultimately, be really the parents that their children expect them to be.
When I talked to Dave about helping an organization, and he mentioned you guys, and I talked about this before. It just hit so close to home. My mom was homeless with her son. They were beginning to be homeless when he was 10 years old. He's deep in his 30s now, and my mom has since passed. But like, due to there's no way. It's so hard to once you're homeless and you're dealing with mental health issues, it's so hard to get off the street. And unfortunately for my family, that didn't happen. There have been some bright spots, but he's still at 30 years old or so, still on the streets. And I don't know where he is to this day, but I just know what area he is. So having a resource like this it is not only does it hit home, but it just makes me feel so happy. And I'm going to buy more of the birds just to make sure we raise some more money for you guys. Real quick. So it's school's out, right? It's summer. Is there a programming? I mean, for the kids, or do you guys take them on field trips, or what do you do with them now that there's no school?
Absolutely. We're getting upwards. So here in El Paso, we're looking at a couple more weeks here. I think about 1 more month, if not 3 more weeks of school. And so we're already making plans for the summer. The kiddos who come into our care, just like, just like they would at home, this is time when they're off from school, and so they're going to be home full day. So what we try and do is we really create a program to try and put some enrichment into their lives. And one of the biggest things that one of the biggest events and activities that we do with the kids is we take them to El Paso Chihuahuas baseball games, and that's very important when we talk about normalcy for a child and putting back those pieces to a normal childhood. Just simple community outings are extremely important, right? It helps them to connect with their community, and also allows them to be a part of an activity that really we're all very accustomed to. And I was sharing a story with Mr. Donovan earlier, Mr. Roy, about the 8-year-old child who stayed a couple of months with us, but during that time that he was with us, he had the chance to participate in a few field trips and outings and things. And one day we were out at the local ballpark, the Chihuahuas ballpark, and he came up and he wrapped his little arms around me, gave me a big hug, and he had tears in his eyes. I could see he was crying, and I thought maybe something had happened, and I asked him what had happened, what was wrong, and he just told me it was his dream to come to a baseball game. He always wanted to, he never had. And so we were there. He was living it. He saw the home run. I think he was just overfilled with emotion. But those are the moments that I love, that I really live for. And I think when I talk about making it special for the kiddos, that's what it's all about.
So are you guys tied in with local food banks or homeless shelters, mental health facilities, even churches? What kind of relationships do you guys have with other organizations in your community?
So we're part of a larger network of community resources, right? We're community partners with a lot of great organizations. A lot of the kiddos who come into our care, we identify right away that that they're going to need additional supports, whether it be mental health or whatever it might be. So we immediately connect their families and themselves with other programs in the community to really ensure that those things are put in place. But as you mentioned earlier, we're not federally funded. We are not affiliated. We're not affiliated with any larger programs. We're really just an organization. And I'll tell you a quick story. The way that the center was founded was really on a dream, or on a commitment, I should say, to the idea that no children should ever be placed in harm's way. And so our organization was started in 1980 by Miss Mary Russell and her husband, Mr. George. At the time, unfortunately, their grandson, excuse me, was the victim of child abuse. And so they were determined, and they said, we need to create a resource where children have a place to go where they're no longer going to be potential victims. And so they took it upon themselves. And 45 years later, this little idea has grown into the organization that we are now, and we continue to serve thousands and thousands of families in the community. But that's only possible through activities like this. The support that we're able to receive from these sort of financial contributions, it really is the only way that we're able to do what we do. And we're so grateful to be able to be the beneficiaries of such a cool and awesome project.
And going back to the Chihuahuas game, I mean, you got Chico running around, and that
a giant dog. Who doesn't love that?
Who doesn't like a giant Chihuahua? And I follow you guys on Instagram, and I'm serious when listeners, when I say, like, the RV club donated, raised money. Just these small little clubs that are giving what they can. So when it's really a community supported it's truly a community supported organization. I mean, I was amazed by, like, wow, the RV club, because we were as a kid, we belonged to an RV club, and I don't think we ever did that, but it was fun being in an RV club. Andrew, we really appreciate you taking the time. Where can folks donate? Where can they reach out? And for those that may be listening in the El Paso area, where can they get a hold of you?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. So I think probably the best way is through our social media, which you just mentioned. We have our Facebook and our Instagram, and so definitely connect to us through there. But also, please, find us on our website, childcrisiscenterofElPaso.org. You can find all the information. You can also, connect with us. There's a link there for an email. It'll go directly to me. I'll answer any questions. If anyone is interested in finding out how they can help or what they can do, I'll make sure to respond to them, because ultimately we do need the help of as many people as possible. So thank you.
I have one more question before we
Yes.
sign off. Can you think of somebody that the center has helped years ago and has come along later in life and come back to you with some story of success or, something like that?
Absolutely. So I'll tell you, I was telling Mr. Donovan earlier that I've had the chance to be a part of some really amazing moments. I'll tell you two quick stories, real quick. One of them, there was a little girl who came, and her mom brought her in. The little girl couldn't have been older than 7 years old, and her mom said, "I apologize in advance. I told my daughter it wasn't a lot, and I'm just trying to figure out what's going on." But I told her, "No, no, no. We're happy to see you guys." And her daughter handed me a small envelope, and in that envelope was about 87 cents. And it was a donation from her daughter to the center because she wanted to help out. And so those, we taught every penny helps. And trust me, those 87 cents were just as important as any other contribution that we received that year or that month or that day. So, but to answer your question, I'll tell you that after 45 years, I like to joke that the center is going through our midlife crisis, right? But we're seeing a unique circumstance take place, which is we're now seeing the children who we served 20, 30 years ago become adults, become professionals in our community, and they're coming back. They're remembering their time with us and they want to give back. And so I've had the chance to speak to a few people. The most recent one was a young lady who is now a nurse and she has a family of her own. And she came and she provided some donations to us, hygiene items. But when I got to talking with her, she didn't want any recognition. She didn't want a receipt, nothing like that. She just whispered in my ear, didn't say it too loud. I don't think she really wanted to have anyone else know, but she just told me she stayed with us as a child. It was during a time when it was really difficult for her mom, excuse me, a single mom, and that, she remembered her time with us. She remembered how much it helped her mom get through that, really transition through that difficult time, and she never forgot about it. And so when she had the chance, she came back and she wanted to make sure to let us know that what we were doing was helpful and that she knew that there was a lot more families like hers that could use the help, and she wanted to be a part of our mission.
Oh, beautiful. Bringing families back together when they're going through a tough time. That's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. Thank you very much, Andrew. We really appreciate you coming on and spending the time. I get verklempt very easily because it just hits so close to home for me. Well, we're going to continue to sell the shirts till as long as we can. And then whenever we think we've sold enough to be able to give you what we can, we're going to do that. So thank you so much, Andrew, for coming on. And we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great. Thank you guys so much. And for all the listeners, make sure you subscribe. These guys are awesome. They're doing some really great work, and you get all your baseball news here. So make sure you subscribe.
Huh.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.
You got it.
All right. Yeah. So that was a little background on the El Paso Child Crisis Center. Really good cause. I dig the shirts. The shirt's really nice. And we want to do what we can to help the communities that we cover, and we cover the El Paso area. So, but let's get on with the show.
So we had, I want to say 3, but we had 2.5 major league debuts since the last time we spoke. One of them we've been waiting for a long time. The other one we've been campaigning for a little bit. And the third one was kind of a surprise to me. So the first one, Tirso Ornelas, on the 19th, he was called up. He made his debut in Houston, got his first RBI there. He waited till his first game in San Diego on that Friday with the 25th to get his first hit. I happened to be there. Yeah. Angela had tears in her eyes because we've been following him since I think I saw him at his first spring training. We saw him down at Petco Park at the prospect
then
game.
It wasn't the Don Welke. It was the God, what was it called?
Something showcase or something like
Padres
that.
on deck or something like that. The on deck showcase.
Right. But then we got to know him a little bit in Lake Elsinore. Guys are a little more accessible there. We got to know his girlfriend. He's a nice kid from Tijuana. So cool story. His whole family was here. There was another guy that he knew growing up that was on the Rays. So when he got to first base, these guys go back to, how far did they go back? They're 25 years old, but still. That was a cool scene, them trading jerseys and all that. And then unfortunately he was optioned back to El Paso, but at least he got his first hit out of the way. And I think the next time we see him up, he's going to do even better. He's going to be comfortable.
Yeah.
He's not going to feel that pressure of all the firsts.
Yeah.
First time being in front of a big crowd, first fly ball hit to you, first everything, So I think he's going to be much better next time we see him. But I was excited to see him up.
Oh, absolutely. And God, we have the evolution of Tirso and Ornelas has been by far the longest thing that we've covered since we've done the podcast. I mean, he was 16 when he walked onto the field at Petco, and he's 25 now, so it's been almost 10 years. He almost didn't make it. He had opportunity to go, sign a minor league deal with another organization. He was skipped over with the Rule 5, placed on the 40-man, had a great spring this last year where it just seemed like he put it all together. But with the signing of Jason Hayward and Connor Joe, we kind of felt like that wasn't going to be the case, although we were hoping against hope. And injuries happen. It's going to be, he came up, after an injury. It was Jason Hayward. Just get your cup of coffee, get your feet wet, get familiar. And we'll see what happens as the season progresses. And hopefully when he comes up, he'll do well enough to stay. And we'll just have Tirso as our left fielder for the next how many years.
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
I would love for him to be the stable force in left field. Like right now, you can pencil center field and right field in for the next decade.
Yeah.
So now they gotta fill in left field. So now the next person was Ryan Bergert. And so we were watching him all of last year and even the year before that going, this guy's good. This guy can pitch. He knows how to miss bats. He's putting it together. And this spring, he looked really impressive. The Padres selected his contract. I believe they selected his contract last fall to protect him from the Rule 5.
Yeah.
So it was at that point, it's kind of a matter of time. So they brought him up. I was surprised they brought him up as a reliever. He hadn't really relieved much in his minor league career, but he did great. I think he's pitched 4 scoreless innings now. Just got sent back down today to make room for Sean Reynolds. So happy to have Sean Reynolds back. But yeah, Ryan Bergert came up, got his debut, got his first win. So congratulations to Ryan Bergert. And then the third one came as a surprise to me, David Morgan. And he's been outstanding in Double-A this year. But I say 2.5 because he got called up, but he never got to make his debut. He never got to touch grass. And so it's like, does it really count? Like, yeah, your name lists on that, you have a number next to your profile on Baseball Reference, but he didn't get into a game yet. So I hope we see him again so he gets that chance. But he is killing it this year.
Yeah. And
he just went down to El Paso and just kept on shoving.
Yeah. And he throws hard as well. But hey, service time is if it's 1 day or 5 days, he's in that bullpen hanging out. He's getting the key card to a hotel room. He's on the plane. So, getting that taste without maybe getting into a game is just maybe a little bit of a stick in the carrot, but he should be back up. Like, this is the great thing about this year. There's so much depth in AAA, particularly, and him coming up from AA. But thinking about Ryan Bergert, he started in El Paso, and I remember at the beginning of the season going, like, God, it's the PCL. What's the PCL going to do to Ryan Bergert? And he just shoved every start. I think he might have had one bad start, but every other start he had, he shoved. And to shove like that in the PCL, your first time through, was amazing, really, for him. So I love that he came up as a bullpen. I think the Cardinals used to do that. Didn't matter how much of a starter you were, you always started in the bullpen, and then you kind of got your feet wet that way. And, they didn't need a fifth starter, so bring him into the bullpen. I think he came in late after the nightmare inning last night. He came in and then just mowed everyone down. And you're like, maybe he's an inning late. Maybe he should have came in an inning earlier and would have got out of the a 10-run inning that was last night.
Oh, that was brutal. So on that, since you brought that up, I want to give a shout out to the Letters to AJ newsletter. I believe I've mentioned him before. The guy does a fantastic job of analysis, and the article that he put out this morning was pretty brief. The last couple that he put out have gone deep into some observations, but it sounds like at least Peralta and maybe Morahone were tipping something, and the Yankees were picking it up. So they had a guy on second base, and there was just like we saw with Pivetta and the Giants a week or two before, some kind of a signal, like he put his hand to his chest if it's going to be a breaking ball,
Right.
and then the batter knows what to look for, and it makes things so much easier when you can just look for one shape. And that's part of why that inning got out of control. But anyway, they'll be able to clean that up and fix that. But so I pulled up David Ryan Bergert, his game log, and yeah, he had 1 6-run game. He's had 1 4-run game in El Paso, but I mean, one of them was in Albuquerque, and
Right.
Albuquerque is even
Literally
higher
the moon.
elevation than Denver. So it's like you just throw that stuff out. And then the other one was home in El Paso against Las Vegas, and 2 bad games. You have to kind of like trim off the best and the
Yeah.
worst games and look at the
Overall,
the
right.
meat in between. So yeah, no, Ryan Berger, I think he's going to get some starts at some point this year. David Morgan's going to come back up at some point and contribute. But so the next little notes here I've got here are about rehab. So Jackson Merrill just came back yesterday to join the big league team, but he was rehabbing in Double-A San Antonio over the weekend. That was fun to watch. And he had a home run today. So
Yep.
and I was surprised how quick his progression went, because one day I saw him in Arizona and he was just swinging the bat and stepping out of the box and not running
Yep.
at all. The next day I see him hitting line drives and taking a good hard turn at first base. So he's running. Next thing I know, he's in Double-A and I see him listed as the DH, but then I flip on the game and he's out there playing center field. And he was legging out liners down the line and everything. He was going, from what I could tell, he was going full speed. For him, it's
Yeah.
probably 80%, but still. And so for all intents and purposes, he's healthy, ready to go.
Hold on, was it real quick? Was it in the ACL that he hit the triple? And and they asked Schultz about it too. He's like, "Yeah, I saw that, and I was hoping he wouldn't do it, but he did it." In the post
Take
game,
it easy, kid. I mean, you let a racehorse, a thoroughbred, out on the track, and
right,
they only have one speed. It's
right.
got to be hard to dial it back when you're Jackson Merrill. So Sean Reynolds was rehabbing in El Paso, and he was up there for about a week.
Yeah.
And he just joined the big league club today. So that's fantastic. Love getting him back. And then Jake Cronenworth, I saw that he was same thing. I saw he was getting some reps in AAA or in the ACL. The ACL season just kicked off, by the way.
Yep.
And so he was playing down there. Next thing I know, the Chihuahuas are tweeting out that he's playing there and he's playing second base. So I heard that he's got a flak jacket on. I'm assuming that he'll have that on when he comes back to play, at least for the beginning. But he's playing second base. He's doing all the normal stuff. So they say that he's going to be joining the team on Friday. So fantastic news. And then the last thing, Yu Darvish is down in Arizona right now.
Okay.
And he's in game situations. He's not playing in live games, but game situations, they're going to do where he pitches an inning, goes and sits down, gets back up, pitches another inning. So these are little baby steps to working your way back to the big league field.
That's good, because I've been asked a lot about that at work. All the Padre fans are like, "What's going on with Darvish?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know." So that's good news to hear that Darvish is starting to ramp up. And during all this, particularly with Darvish being out the beginning of the season, and then with Jackson going down and Cronenworth, the team hasn't done bad, and that's where that depth goes in. That we didn't have last year or the year before. That I don't think we really had till this year, where guys go down, guys come up. They don't have to do stellar. They just have to place hold till we get, and till we get the guys back. And Merrill just comes back and hits the ground running. It's just, I'm still amazed on how goddamn good. I'm just amazed on how good he is. And maybe it's because when you hang with a guy a couple times and you do a little work with him, you're like, oh, just a dude, just a dude. And you got James Wood just hitting lasers to all fields for the Washington Nationals, and you're just
breaking my heart. That one stings. That's the one I think when we're looking back 5-10 years from now, I think that's the one that's really going to sting most out of all the ones that Preller let get away.
Yeah, but they weren't. We know that they weren't going to do that trade unless they got James Wood, and good for them too. He's there with C.J. Abrams, Wood, and
McKenzie
and Mac.
Yeah. So the other move that I thought was notable was that they sent Kyle Hart down. They explained at the time that they weren't going to need a 5-man rotation for like a couple of weeks because of the off days and the travel days in the schedule, which is great. Hart was struggling. He had a couple of bad starts. And it sounds like in his first game in El Paso, he was showing off a new pitch, what they call a kick change. So a different kind of change up, a different grip, a different release. Maybe they're trying to come up with something to mix up his repertoire. But the next time an opening in the rotation come up, Stephen Kolek got the call, and he came up and did great. So happy to see Stephen Kolek up. Last year we knew him as a reliever. We'd heard that he was going to be stretched out as a starter. He looked good all spring, and now in his first big league game, I think he went five scoreless innings. You can't ask for more than that. And so, yeah, if he's going to be the number 5 guy for the time being, then giddy up, let's go.
Absolutely. And there's the depth. Once again, the depth in the system, the depth that AJ Preller that we didn't think we had in the beginning of the season. We're like, oh my God, where's the pitching? Where's, God, Hayward's, all these signings we just questioned. And once again, Preller just shows that, like, this is why he's the GM, and this is why we have to have faith in AJ Preller.
Yeah. Huge credit to Tyler Wade for absolutely shoving with the opportunity that he had. When I heard that he was going to be starting in center field, I was like, I know he's athletic. I know he's got some speed, but he's an infielder. How much time has he had out there? I mean, we saw Jackson Merrill take the position by storm, but he held his own in center field, and at the plate, he's a pest. He's not going to hit for power, but I mean, the guy he's got the bat control, and this year he's making good contact. And so he has earned his stay, and it's a shame that he had to get designated for assignment and go that whole little cycle. But now that he earned his way back up, I don't think you could put him down. He's
absolutely not. And that's it. You don't want the guy hitting home runs. You just want to be a pest. The occasional knock, turn over the lineup out of that 9 hole to get to Taddy in the top of the lineup. And that's all you can ask for. And guys that know that role, I think, are more valuable. He knows the role he's in. He's not there to set the world on fire. He's there to get the occasional knock, fill in when he needs to, turn that lineup over, and let the big boppers, do their thing.
Yeah, I think Jose Iglesias kind of has owned that as well, that he knows that he's not going to go out there and hit 10, 15 home runs. So he's just trying to get singles, trying to pass it on to the next guy. But the lineup sure did feel different when Luis Arraez came back. And Jason Hayward, say what you want about the numbers that he's posted so far, but the guys in that clubhouse talk about his presence. And when those 2 guys came back, the team sure did feel a little bit different, and they started winning again.
Yeah, absolutely. And just that smile, Arraez's smile. And is it Dave Macy is the first base coach? What's his first name?
Yeah, the slap
right. His chest is now he has to wear the flak jacket again. But let's move on. We got movement. So since we've last come on, and this just happened this week, guys have done well and they've moved up. So right-handed pitcher Emmanuel Pinales was transferred from high A to double A. He was shoving. He'll be in the rundown a little bit later on. Then right-handed pitcher Miguel Menendez transferred from Elsinore up to Fort Wayne to take his spot. And then Jackson Wolf had got his cup of coffee with the Padres. We signed him to a minor league deal. He went down to double A and he shoved, absolutely shoved. Now he's going back up to triple A into El Paso. And once again, that's just another guy that's got major league experience in El Paso. If things fall this way or that way and we need him, there's another guy that has major league experience that's kind of funky, doesn't overpower with the velocity, but can pitch.
It's a teeny bit of major league experience. You got the 1 game.
Yeah.
And then we thought going over to Pittsburgh that he'd get more opportunities there, and it didn't pan out, but I'm glad that he's back. I'm glad he's back up in El Paso. And I've come to realize, I think we've talked about this, that the organization isn't using El Paso as the finishing school for prospects. They're using El Paso as the holding tank for major league depth.
Yeah.
So the guys are there. I mean, we talked to Zamo about this, about they're there to support the big league team. They're there to work for their next opportunity. And when that opportunity comes, they're going to be ready. Yeah. So, I mean, Jackson's on that list, and I like having a lefty in the rotation. That's why I like the signing of Kyle Hart.
Yeah.
But when that opportunity shows up, if Jackson's the one that's pitching well, he'll get the call.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Miguel Cienfuegos was transferred from San Antonio to El Paso, and Sam Whiting, who made a rehab start in Elsinore, was reinstated to AA. So Sam Whiting is in AA. Luis Patino, I know you have it a little bit farther down, don't you? But
yes. Started rehabbing in Lake Elsinore. So last Sunday was that concert that I went to. Angela got up on stage too. She sang a Go-Go song. But if we didn't have the tickets for that, I guarantee you we would have been up in Lake Elsinore watching Luis pitch. Because that same summer that we got to know Tirso, we got to know Luis as well. And just, I mean, I feel like it's 2018, 2019 again, that we're just talking about how everybody around this kid just loves him. He's got just charisma for days and that smile. So I saw a couple of pictures from that outing of him smiling, and it's like, man, that kid is still in there. He's a grown ass man, but he's still got that joy, that spark in there.
I watched it on the big screen here at home, and Liddy's like, that. He's grown up. He's got a beard. He's grown up. He's a grown ass man. I'm like, he's still Luis Patino, though. He's still electrical. Just pitched the win. I think he pitched an inning and a half. That's all he had to do. I haven't heard anything else since then. I don't know what their program is with him, but he's certainly making his way back from Tommy John. And if we can get any value out of him, other than, even just having him in the system and pitching, it is a big thing for him, and to have him back in our organization is fantastic.
Value, man. I want to see him ramp back up and look like that electric guy that we saw back in the day, only new and improved, pound in the strike zone, wipe out nasty stuff. I still believe in the guy. I'm going to keep believing in it. There's a chance you could see him this year. I mean, they didn't pick him up to stash him in AA forever. No. They picked him up thinking, if we can get this kid back on track and work through some stuff, maybe we got something.
Absolutely. All right. So we're not even a quarter way through what we got, because in the minor league minute, and this is going to take a long part of the lower down, we're going to take a lot of time here. Leodalis De Vries and Tyson Neighbors were named MLB Pipeline Team of the Week. Neighbors struck out 6 in 2 perfect frames. Leo De Vries, I'm going to talk about it in a minute, was the MILB Midwest League Player of the Month, and we're going to get much more into that when we come back from our break and get into the agenda.
Affiliate rundown.
Thank you. Okay.
I'm putting those words in here.
Thank you. I couldn't remember. I haven't eaten all day.
We're rusty.
It's all right. Okay. So I do have down here, I do have his I get the MLB Pipeline video, and I think I sent it to you. Did I send it to you?
You did.
Okay, I did. That's the only one I have. I was going to put in the Rosman Verdugo 3 home runs because he's done really well too, but I think that's enough video for this episode because we just got a lot to go through.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Okay, we ready?
Ready.
3, 2, 1. Affiliate rundown. That's what it's called, the affiliate rundown. So let's start in Lake Elsinore, painting the corners. Hey, Cash Mayfield has shown flashes of dominance in his last start. He gave up 3 runs in his first, then goose eggs after that. I watched that game. I watched it just after the first inning. I didn't see any of the runs scored. So I saw after that is a kid who just dialed it back in. Lost it for the first inning and just kept pounding the zone, kept working. His last start, he went 5 innings for the first time. The 20-year-old will finish his first month of professional baseball with a 5.02 ERA in 14 1/3 innings. But opposing hitters are batting just 208 against Mayfield, but with 8 walks and 2 hit batters have led to extra traffic on the base paths. Mayfield was the 25th pick in the 2024 draft out of Elk City High School in Oklahoma. What I like about this kid is there's raw talent. Like, it's very raw. He's a high school kid. And so you put someone this young, and he's 20 years old, but you put someone this inexperienced in an A ball, you're going to have a little bit of hiccup, but you get to see flashes of this kid dominating, and there's lots to like with him as he begins his career.
You know, I said that I was there on opening day, and what impressed me was his poise, that he looked comfortable. If you didn't know that it was his first time on a professional mound, you wouldn't have known. He was pitching with rhythm. He was pitching with confidence. And so at that point, I mean, there's so much learning and development. That's really all you can ask. And the same thing for Boston Bateman. So next on the list here, Boston Bateman had a bounce back outing last Thursday. He held the Inland Empire hitless for 4 innings, pitched a career high 6 innings. That's another thing to watch, is these guys progressing, how deep they're going into games.
Yep.
Pretty early in the season to go 6 innings. Catcher Dario Laverde broke up the no-hit effort with a dribbler that turned into an infield hit. Bateman proceeded to strike out the next batter. In 6 innings of work, Bateman allowed just 2 hits, with only 1 leaving the infield. He walked just 1 and struck out 5, generating 14 swings and misses. Quote, I think the command was big, and just his mentality to keep attacking, as manager Brian Burris said. This is his first time getting into the 6 today professionally, and to continue that mindset, sometimes you can start thinking about it, but he kept just getting on the mound and delivering strikes. His previous outing, he allowed 4 runs on 5 hits and 3 walks while punching out 5. You know, there are days that the command's not going to be there. There are days where the first 2 innings you're going to look good, and then the wheels come falling off. You lose your command for an inning or 2. Maybe your defense, somebody botches a ball, and then things kind of unwind. And these are the things that these guys are learning how to work through. And some of the guys, it takes them years to figure out how to get past that stuff.
Absolutely. And I've watched both these guys pitch, and I've watched Bateman pitch a couple of times, and he's just a beast. He's a big boy, and he throws hard. So, you know, he's getting out these hitters with throwing really hard. He's a bulldog on the mound, and he's fun to watch. He's just,
it doesn't even look like he's throwing hard. Like his effort, it doesn't look, you don't see this crazy arm speed. It's just the ball comes zipping out of his hand.
Easy gas. So next on here is Miguel Mendez. Found his groove Friday out. Found his groove Friday. 8 on his way to earning the the hard throwing righty pitched 5 innings, and while allowed 3 extra base knocks among the 5 hits he gave up, he didn't issue a walk. Mendez, 22, has flashed a big fastball throughout his time in the system, but he struggled to consistently throw strikes. His previous outing, he walked 2 and hit 2 batters while striking out 5. Miguel spent all of last year with the Storm, throwing 81 2/3 innings with 85 strikeouts and 55 walks, with a 3.86 ERA. In 3 starts this year, Mendez has a 36% strikeout rate and only 8% walks. Sorry.
You know, the Padres like that. Fill up the zone and don't walk anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And he got it, you know, he's pitched well enough to get up to high A.
All right, so moving on the screws. Zach Evans has a 13-game hitting streak as of Saturday. The Buffalo, New York native has drawn praise from manager Brian Burris. Quote, he just finds a lot of barrels. If you watch, it's not soft contact. Even his last out, he had a line drive to center field. He does a great job of finding barrels, and as you can see, it's working out for him. He's torching the Cal League in early going with a 344, 407, 865 line. And with him, it doesn't look like he's swinging hard. Right. He's looking for hard contact, but depending on the situation, the count, it seems like he's already kind of understood some of that, you know. So bat speed is a hot metric right now. You can go on StatCast and look up the bat speed for everybody in Major League Baseball. But another thing that they have on there is the variability of the bat speed. So like Giancarlo Stanton, it swings in this really narrow band. Every time he swings, it's fast. Fernando Tatis Jr. this year, it's a really broad band. Like his top swing speed is up there with some of the top guys in the game. But when he's looking for a breaking ball, when he's trying to go the other way, that battle slow down and he keeps the barrel in the zone longer.
Right.
And so what I've seen of Zach Evans is some of that. Like he'll reach down and try to go for power sometimes, but sometimes he's just trying to square it up. And I like that approach better than just get in a position to do damage and try to launch the ball. And we watched that at Petco Park for way too many years before this refreshing change that Victor Gonzalez has brought around.
Yeah, and that change that you talk about is the first swing, the first strike is their strike, the hitter's strike. Once it gets 2 strikes, it's the team's at bat. It's more about making contact, controlling the zone, and trying to get on base. So that's what they've instilled in this team, and it's working at the major league level, and it's certainly making its way down throughout the system. Going into Lamar King Jr., he's absolutely come out of the gate torching the Cal League. He has shown what he can do now that he's healthy. The week before last, he only struck out twice in 19 plate appearances while batting .294. King has hit the ball hard consistently in April while showing a refined, more patient approach, yielding an 8.25 OPS and 117 WRC plus. Like every time I turn around, he's either hitting he's hitting in the gap or he's hitting the ball hard to someone. And I'm surprised he didn't get called up sooner. But the position players, I think, it take a little bit longer as everyone kind of moves up and the season progresses.
Yeah, we're only a month into the season, so we're not going to see a whole lot of. It's a lot easier to move pitchers around than it is to move the position player guys.
Yeah.
So Carson Wells, he's entrenched himself into the leadoff spot for the Storm. JUCO Bandit from Texas is hitting .305 with a .415 on base. He got 21 stolen bases and has played an excellent center field.
All right, so here it is, batting around. When Luis Patino made his appearance for the Storm, they were a high A affiliate, and he was 19 years old phenom who had just appeared in the All-Stars Futures game and had a career 2.35 ERA. Now 25 years old, twice designated for assignment and working back from Tommy John surgery, Patino returned to the diamond for his first outing of 2025. He worked around a pair of walks to throw a scoreless first inning, but an error and another walk opened the second pushed him to his pitch count for the day. Patino, who has had surgery last April 30th, will be brought along slowly as he builds up. Like the timetable is open for him, and just want to get him healthy. And like you said, get him back on the mound. Hopefully at the beginning of the end of the year, we'll have him back to form.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to Fort Wayne, painting the corners. Emmanuel Pinales is dominating in his last start. He tossed 7 terrific innings to earn the victory. 24-year-old allowed just 1 run on 4 hits as he became the first TinCaps pitcher to go past the 6th inning this year. He struck out 4 and did not issue a walk. Through 5 starts, Pinales ranks 3rd in the Midwest League with a 1.40 ERA. Opposing batters are hitting .184 against him, and he's averaging more than a strikeout per inning. Pinales likely won't be in the Summit City much longer.
Yeah, no, he's I watched a little bit of a start. Like my schedule this year it's too busy. I haven't been able to watch a lot of baseball. I've got something going on that's kind of taking a lot more of my time, hence the new format, hence we're not potting as often. But he is fun when we do get a chance to watch him. Who's absolutely beating down the door right now is Tyson Neighbors. The hard-throwing reliever from Kansas State has been dominant out of the bullpen for the TinCaps through the season's first month. In 11 2/3 innings, the 22-year-old has struck out 22 batters while pitching to a .77 ERA. Like Pinales, it's only a matter of time before Neighbors jumps to San Antonio.
He's going to move fast. And college, he was drafted as a reliever. He was a reliever in college, so he knows the role. It's just a matter of checking all the boxes and proving that you can get advanced hitting out. The last guy that I thought was going to move fast through the Padres system was Kevin Kopps, and he hit AA and ran into that thing where guys could pick up the spin on his breaking ball and they started spitting on it, where in college those guys were swinging at stuff that was in the other batter's box. So, but I don't think Neighbors' repertoire isn't like that. I think he's got a cutter, a 4-seamer. He doesn't throw a changeup, but he's got a curveball. I think he's got the kind of repertoire that's going to be a little bit more resistant to that kind of thing. The question with him is, can he limit the walks? And so far he's been doing it in single A. So we'll see once he gets, I'm sure he's going to move up quick. We saw David Morgan. They called him up out of nowhere, but because he's performing. And so I think expecting somebody to make the jump all the way from Fort Wayne to the big leagues in a year is probably asking too much. But maybe he finishes the year at AAA and has an opportunity next year if he keeps this up.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's come out of the gate firing, and he's
has.
He is a red ass dude, man.
He is. Yeah, he's got that presence, and just like he's imposing up there. He's not tall, but he's thick. He's like, I'm not like David Bednar thick, but he's got the square shoulders and the like. He's kind of got a major league reliever's build already.
Yeah, absolutely. And his last save, I think I posted it on X, where he struck the guy and was just like, yeah, let's go. And I'm like, God damn, the guy's red ass. I love that.
Yeah, that intensity at single A. Okay, so one of my favorite stories this year has been Garrett Hawkins coming back from injury. Another guy that I saw in Lake Elsinore that I got to chat with real quick. And it's like, you talk to some of these kids for 5 minutes. It's like, you know what? I like you. You're a good dude. I want to see you do well. And he's one of these guys. So Garrett Hawkins dominated the final 2 innings and he earned the win. He allowed no runs, no hits while punching out 2 and getting a 30% whiff rate. There's Clark Farrenhold right there. I can always tell when Clark's doing the write-ups for Mad Friars. His fastball flashed good ride while sitting 94 to 95. And once again, he touched 98 in the outing. Now, he was a starter when we saw him in Lake Elsinore. It sounds like he's working as a reliever now, coming back from Tommy John. Hawkins, who was a starter before Tommy John, that cost him all in 2024, continues to flash upside out of the bullpen. In 12 innings pitched, he owns a 30% strikeout rate. That'll get you moving.
Yep. That's a friend of the podcast. With the glasses, too. I love that about him. He wears the glasses.
That's the first time I started talking to him, I thought it was Danny Denz. Danny Denz is like 5'11", and Garrett Hawkins is like 6'5". Like, how can you get those two confused? But I was sitting up high, and you see the goggles, and that's
great. So on the screws, Rosman Verdugo hit 3 home runs in 3 days and added another 2.
Your guy found his power stroke.
God, and if we had more time, I was going to post all 3 of those home runs, but we just don't have the time in this episode. But hit 3 home runs in 3 days. They were all no doubters. Hit 5 in the span in 3 weeks. After a cup of coffee in Fort Wayne last year, he seemed to have made the adjustment to high A pitching this season. In 81 at bats, he has 857 OPS and a 303 ISO, and 5 home runs, the second most in the Midwest League.
And that home run swing sure looks pretty.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe something clicked. And he's going to find that next level now. We've been waiting for him to kind of put it together.
Absolutely. Like to see a little more average, less strikeouts, but certainly my guy, been my guy for a long time now. It's starting a little bit to put it together.
All right, so next we're going to have to take a while on this next section here. We're going to talk about Leodalis De Vries' historic night. First, before we do all of our talking, here's the video from the broadcast.
Against Wisconsin, he delivers. De Vries hits it high and deep out to right field. Jared Dickey is on the run, but that ball's gone. Leo De Vries cranks his 2nd homer of the year. And the TinCaps lead 1-0. He hit it above LAFQ, the digital billboard out in right center, right before.
The 0-1. That's popped out to left center field. Hit well. Green is going back. He looks up, and that thing is off the Miller Lite sign and carry him back to center. De Vries has lost his helmet as that baseball is lost out in the outfield for a double.
It's 9-2 Locos. And there's a high drive, deep right field. It is on its way and gone. It is a 2-homer game for Leo De Vries, who is 3 for 3 with 3 extra base hits and now 3 RBIs. Here's the break even. Line drive, right field, base hit De Vries once more. In comes Sanabria. Butterworth is on his heels. To third base rushes Durfee. A 2-run single for De Vries. Hammered to right, air to the corner, and off the wall. Difficult carom for Dickey. A triple means the cycle. 2 runs are going to score. Stop sign at third for De Vries. He has cycled Fort Wayne into the lead. A 2-run, 2-out triple in the top of the 9th. And it's 15-13 TinCaps. Leo De Vries has knocked in 8 runs.
De Vries put together one of the best single-game performances in club history. Made all the more impressive considering he's only 18 years old. MLB Pipeline's number 17 prospect hit for the cycle, swatting a pair of homers and driving in 8 runs during a 5-hit night to help the Fort Wayne Edge Lansing back in the day. It was like 3 weeks ago. 15-14 during a wild back-and-forth game at Jackson Field. De Vries finished with 4 extra base hits and matched the club record with 8 RBIs while becoming the 3rd TinCap to complete the cycle. Fort Wayne manager Lucas Ray had the bird's eye view of his young talent from the third base coach's box. Quote, he's been taking great at-bats all year, Ray said. He had some poor luck and a few hits didn't fall. Tonight, though, was one of those nights. I didn't know exactly what type of hits he'd get, but you could just feel he was going to find some holes. Did he ever? To put De Vries' game into historical context, only 7 major leaguers, that's 7 major leaguers, have hit for the cycle during a 2-homer game since 1901. That
this
list
is quite the list
like,
right here of these names that Donovan's going to list out right here. Pay attention. There's some incredible names in this short list.
Just to name a few: George Brett, Carl Yastrzemski, Ralph Kiner, Joe DiMaggio back in 48, Gil Hodges back in 49, and Ed Lennox in Pittsburgh in the Federal League going back to 1914. Like, this is how historic. And then like the week later, he was just a home run. I think it was a triple shy of hitting for the cycle, where he went like 4 for 5 again. Okay, so with that 2 weeks of being named Player of the Week, he was named Midwest Player of the Month.
I would think if you win half of the month as Player of the Week, you kind of get it by default.
Right.
I want to point out that triple that he got. So he needed the triple. I think he already had 2 home runs, a double, and a single in the game. He needed the triple. And I want somebody to run some analysis on the history of cycles, because it seems like the triple it's the toughest one to get.
Right.
And it seems like that's most often the last one that guys get. And he got it. The only way you're going to get a triple in that ballpark, where the outfielder was back against the fence, it got over his glove and it took this crazy hop, like 90 degrees to the west, and he was off to the races.
Dude, that ball was smoked and it hit so hard and it shot into which is weird because he's a left-handed hitter. The hitter just came back to him, but it hit an edge there and just shot to center field, and he, right like you said, was just off to the races.
Wait, he's a switch hitter, and I believe, I may be wrong, but I believe in that game he had a home run from both sides of the plate. He pulled a Ken Caminiti or a Mickey Mantle.
Yeah, I don't know. They didn't say if it. None of that I've read has said that, but it would be interesting if that did. I
might have to go back and pull the video, but I believe they were from both sides of the plate.
All right, so Midwest, he was a Midwest Player of the Month across 19 games. He leads the Midwest League in slugging at 625, on base slugging, on base plus slugging at 1.003, while being tied for the league in triples with 3. The switcher also ranked 3rd in extra base hits with 12, total bases in 40 with 45, hit 306, while being tied for 5th in RBIs at 19, tied for 7th in home runs with 4. At 18 years old, the Azusa Dominican Republic native is the youngest player at the high A level. So he's the youngest player.
He's the youngest player. That's not just in Fort Wayne. That is in, I believe there's 3 leagues at high A. He's the youngest player in all of them.
Yep.
And for the month of April, he was the best player in all of them.
Yeah.
Or at least in the Midwest League.
In the Midwest League.
All right, so following a strong start to the month of May, De Vries is now hitting 309, 400, 593 with 12 extra base hits and 19 RBIs in 22 games this season. His on-base streak has risen to 11 games since April 20th after going 8 for 15 in Fort Wayne series against the Dragons. Now, they did, that game was a crazy game. What was the final score of that game? It was like 14-11 or something like that.
Right.
15-14. So it was one of those games where just, I mean, guys were running wild, but still, 8 RBIs in a game, 2 home runs, the triple. And then on top of that, he's been making some electric plays on defense.
Yeah.
So now the next question people are going to be asking is, how long is he going to be in high A? And that's where I say pump the brakes.
Right.
Because, okay, you kicked ass for a month. Can you do it for another month? Can you do it for half a season? Can you dominate guys at this level? Because now that there's a book out, maybe there's going to be adjustments. So he's going to have to do that. And then the other side of it, well, I guess there's three sides. The second side is the defense. So yeah, he can go out and make the crazy diving catches, running out to center field, all that stuff. But every once in a while, he'll boot a play that's hit right at him. He'll duff one, he'll make an awkward toss to second base that they should turn to, and maybe they can't get the double play. It's those little things that guys need to learn to clean up, and that's what you're in single A to learn.
Yeah.
So he has all the tools. It's a matter of refining the skill set and making things efficient and clean, and all that on defense. And then the other side is, how is he off the field? How is he in the clubhouse? What's his demeanor like day to day? How is he at handling his stuff off the field? I mean, these are the things you ask of anybody. He's 18 years old, for Christ's sake. He's the same age as the kids that are going to be in this year's draft. Yeah. So, there's no rush to shove him up the pipeline. He'll earn that in time. I don't think we're going to see him promoted. I mean, maybe they put him up in mid-season. I would think if Double-A is in a playoff hunt toward the end of the season, maybe they'll bring him up like they did with Ethan Salas last year. That's the only scenario where I see that they would make that kind of a move. Otherwise, I think he's going to hang out in Fort Wayne all year. But that said, if you're out there in Fort Wayne, you better get your tickets and go see the kid while you can.
Absolutely. I think Mike Nutter said it the same thing. He's like, you guys need to get out here before he moves up. And you're right. The defense does need to get cleaned up. He does make those crazy plays. He made a great play the other day to end the game, in shallow center field or deep middle of the field. But it's 8 errors that he's had early in the season. So the defense does need to get cleaned up, and there's no rush. We don't need to rush this kid to get to Double-A. We don't have a dire need for a shortstop. So let him stay in high A, let him do this for another month, let him play the whole season there. And I really think they kind of, they've learned their lesson a little bit by pushing Salas so much, where with someone, although a special talent for sure, absolutely a better hitter than Salas is going to be, but there's no rush. Let him get familiar with this level, let him excel here. And then when there's time, when he's ready, when he's crossed all those boxes, and there's more boxes than just hitting, for average in power, let him kick those off. Then he'll get up to Double-A, and then we'll see. Maybe it's the last month of the season. Maybe it's the last 3 weeks. But there's no rush. Absolutely.
Well, there's no rush for Leodalis De Vries, but there is a little rush for us. We got to keep this moving.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take us out to San Antonio. Painting the corners, Jackson Wolf. He continued his solid start to 2025 as he pitched 6 innings on Thursday, allowing 3 runs on 3 hits and 1 walk while punching out 9. Wolf had his swing and miss stuff going, totaling 18 whiffs, good for a 42% whiff rate. His changeup was particularly impressive, generating a ton of late arm side fade. He owns a 2.91 FIP and a 3.23 ERA in 25 innings this season, and he just earned a ticket up to El Paso. And then Jagger Haynes. We love talking about friends of the podcast. Yep. Jagger Haynes' extremely impressive outing flew a bit under the radar because Jackson Merrill was out there in center field. Everybody was watching what he was doing. While Jagger worked just 4 2/3 innings, he punched out 9 batters as he generated 21 total whiffs, good for a 46.6% whiff rate. The left-handed slider sat in the mid-80s with some of the best tilt it has shown this year, while his fastball sat in the mid-90s for most of the start, topping out at 96 and flashing good ride. He's healthy, he's strong, and he's carrying this velocity throughout his start. That's what we want to see.
Right.
And then finally, Imperial Beach native Victor Lizarraga had his best outing of the year on Friday night, allowing just 2 runs on 2 hits and 2 walks while striking out 7 across 5 innings. Lizarraga nearly mirrored Haynes' whiff numbers with his start, garnering 19 total swing and misses, good for an eye-popping 52.7% whiff rate. Shout out Clark Fahrenhold. Lizarraga, another guy, we've been waiting for him to put it together, and now it looks like he's finally hitting that groove.
And he's 21 years old. You got to forget, he was in Double-A all last year at 20. Now Lizarraga is 21. He's still super young for the league. And let me just say this, so John Conniff can hear it because we're in the middle of the pod. Clark Fahrenhold has elevated Mad Friar's online posting. He has elevated their dailies. He has elevated those guys to another level. And it's not very often that you get a guy that comes along and complements the rest of the riders with Kevin Charity, with Ben Davey, Lord Voldemort, and David J. Like, he has really just elevated Mad Friars to a level that I think is really good to see. And you can kind of, because he's not the only one that's posting all the numbers there as well. I think I see a lot of the other guys also in their posts and their dailies add some of these metrics in as well. So great job for having him being on there. Obviously a friend of the podcast. We just can't thank him enough for all of his efforts, and thank Mad Friars for all their efforts, allowing us to use their stuff. And it's just really been elevated since he's joined the crew.
Yeah, I think Clark brings a little bit of that analytics number focused, being able to bring the numbers in and add that to the insight.
Yeah.
And the rest of the crew does a fantastic job. I want to give a shout out to David J, because this week, with the Padres being in Pittsburgh and then in New York, there have been crazy weather delays. The games have been starting late. And so poor Sam Levitt has had to have extended duty, just covering vast amounts of time. So I was driving home and I heard David J, he called in, and they spent some time going through the minors, talking about who's doing what, kind of what we do here.
Yeah.
And doing that with Sam Levitt. So to be able to pick up the phone, like, hey, Sam's trying to fill time any way he can. Right. And so it's a great opportunity for Dave to get on there and be a fantastic ambassador for Mad Friars. So shout out to David J.
Absolutely. Okay, so moving on the screws, the highlight of I put highlight the 24th, the Thursday the 24th game, which was insane. We don't have time for it, but Francisco Acuna wins Texas League Player of the Week. 4 home runs, including a game-winning blast on Thursday night in Amarillo, paved the way for Mission shortstop Francisco Acuna to win Texas League Player of the Week for the week of April 21st to the 27th. In 6 games against Amarillo, Acuna went 10 for 22. That's .454 average, with 4 of those 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, a double, 8 runs scored, and 2 stolen bases. Dating back to last Sunday, Acuna hit homers in 4 consecutive games for the first time in his career. The Barranquilla, Colombia native, that's where Luis Patino's from, now has 5 long balls during the 2025 season, more than all he had but one of his previous 7 seasons of professional baseball.
Now, he comes from the Pittsburgh organization.
Yeah.
Padres signed him as a minor league free agent. And so he has some time in AAA, but Felder's done a pretty good job of picking up some interesting minor league guys that maybe they're going to serve as depth pieces, but you never know when somebody pops and you might have something. And Francesco might be that guy. He's 25 years old, so he's probably too old to be considered a prospect. But man, he's making a name for himself real quick in the Padres organization.
Absolutely. So he also played for the Team Colombia and helped them qualify for the 2026 World Baseball Classic as well.
All right, so batting around, it had been 597 days since Jackson Merrill donned a San Antonio Missions jersey. While Padres fans could be more than content with never seeing him in that jersey again, it was nonetheless a successful rehab assignment and trip down memory lane for the Padres all-star center fielder. Merrill looked fine, going 2 for 6 at the dish, 2 runs scored, and a walk in his 2 starts in San Antonio. In the outfield and on the base paths, he looked smooth and fluid with no signs of lingering issues with his hamstring. And now that he hit his bomb in New York, we know that all's good. But interestingly, his start on Friday was his first minor league appearance in center field. After nearly winning a Rookie of the Year play in center field, he should have won the Rookie of the Year. He should have that trophy.
Yep.
Never playing a game in center field as a minor leaguer. It just highlights what an incredible year last year was.
Absolutely. Hey, who's the new center fielder? Some kid named Jackson Merrill.
Yeah.
It's funny. And Paul Skeens is an amazing pitcher, and he's learning he's earning his lumps this year. But Liddy cannot, just anytime he's mentioned, I hate that guy. I'm like, come on, he's really good. He's like, he shouldn't have won she just hates the guy just because he was voted. I mean, it wasn't his fault. She's blaming Paul Skeens for the writer's mistake of making him the Rookie of the Year last year. And it's fun because she gets all red ass about it.
Well, and both of those guys last year, they're like, oh, that guy's amazing. Do you see the stuff he's doing?
Yeah.
You see the stuff? I mean, they were both talking about the other guy with nothing but mutual respect.
Yeah. All right, moving on to El Paso and painting the corners. Coming back from Tommy John surgery in 2023, Reiss Knehr has made a stellar transition to the bullpen this year. For the week, he picked up a pair of saves and only allowed 2 hits as he allowed 1 run across with 3 games. Knehr, 28, pitched his way to the majors as a starter, but the former two-way star at Fordham seems to have found his niche in the bullpen with his four-seamer, power sinker, and a cutter combination. Across 11 innings, he struck out 15 and held opponents to a microscopic 135 average in 11 innings. And earlier in the week, took one off the leg at 105 and then ended the game with catch and win at 111, I think, off the bat.
I saw that. That was so crazy. Like, I thought they might pull him out of the game after he got drilled. And then right after that, boom, game over. I love it. So then Big Sean Reynolds, he's 27 years old. He was impressive in his 2 outings, not allowing a run, striking out a pair in 3 1/3 innings. He came off the IL, as I mentioned earlier today, joining the team in New York. But he was running it up to 98, just absolutely pumping gas, looking healthy. So in spring training, he was in a walking boot, and I never heard a diagnosis of what exactly was wrong, but all we knew was he was in a boot and he wasn't pitching. So I was happy to hear he was back on the mound in El Paso last week. Now he's hopefully back on the mound in a big league game soon here. Glad to have that guy back.
Absolutely. And then on the screws, after posting an 838 OPS in El Paso in 2024 and earning a chance to play in 47 games with the big league club, Bryce Johnson, 29, signed a minor league free agent deal with the Pittsburgh Pirates in the offseason. A raft of outfield injuries led the Pirates to trade catcher Brett Sullivan to reacquire Johnson last month. Goodbye, Sully. Miss you, man. He is a great player. He's a great glue guy. We wish him nothing but the best. But he had a big week, pacing the team with 8 hits for a 400, 538, 500 slash line with 4 stolen bases in 4 attempts. I believe he also won PCL Player of the Week last week.
I believe it. Yeah, and when they picked him up, I thought they were picking him up to put him on the big league roster because Merrill got hurt, Lockridge got hurt, and I didn't know what they were going to do in center field. I didn't expect that Tyler Wade was going to be able to step up and hold that job down. We saw Tirso Ornelas out in center field a little bit.
Yep.
We saw Jason Hayward out in center field a little bit. So I thought Bryce Johnson was brought in specifically to help the big league club, but really he's minor league depth. If that kind of dominoes happens again, he's going to be ready to come up. So yeah, I thought it was going to be an immediate move, but I'm happy he's going down there and kicking ass.
And here's Brandon Lockridge, a kid that came up, got injured, came back, after he came back, steals bags. Once one of those guys that just you win in the margins, and he's a margins guy. Coming in as a pinch runner, taking the extra bag, playing some pretty darn good center field with those wheels, and just another one of those pieces of the puzzles to get this season to where we want to go when that's a championship.
Yeah, and if you told me, well, he's batting 214 this year, that's about what I thought it would be. But at some point, I remember he was batting like 275. Like, where's this coming from? And he's got some gap power. He's not going to hit you. I mean, he might run into a home run this year, but I mean, he can spray some doubles around when he gets going.
Yeah, absolutely. And that speed, you can't defend against speed.
Amen to that. All right. Well, we've been talking long enough. I'm sure your stomach's grumbling. It's time for dinner. Let's get the show on the road.
All right. You can find me on X at SD Donovan.
I'm at Zippy_TMS. Okay. We'll see you next week, guys.